Okay, well, if you saw a previous video that I may or may not have posted by now, then you will know that I did order replacement speaker, or speakers, I always get a couple just to have them in stock, for this Toshiba MV13J3. Remember, I had that speaker that just sounded absolutely terrible. So I did go ahead and get a couple of 3-inch 8-ohm speakers. I have a second one right there. And so I'm going to go ahead and pop this thing apart and make sure that it sounds good when I'm done. Let's just go ahead and do a before and after. So power. Oh, really? Right now it's not going to power on? Well, it's going to be in the blooper reel, I guess. Well, let's see. Maybe it's in child lock. One, two, three. Oh, shoot. Okay, well, let's tear this thing apart and see what might be going on. Maybe it's got a failed capacitor in the switch mode power supply. I cannot remember if this unit uses a switch mode power supply or not. Okay, one moment. I'm going to tear the back off this thing. Okay, so I do have the unit apart, and this is the cable that runs from the main chassis down to the VCR chassis up underneath here. And so I want to go ahead and look at the third pin from the bottom, which is labeled 6 volts. So let's get the probe down onto the wire portion of it, and we'll turn the AC power on. And it would help if I actually plugged the unit in. Okay, unit is plugged in, AC power going on. And there's the problem. I'm only seeing 2 or 3 volts. That's going to be an issue. Let's go to min-max. 3.32 at the maximum. 2.03 at the minimum. Yeah, so that is not good. So I'm wondering, let me go ahead and zoom out just a little bit here and try to do this in real time. I'm going to push this over to about there. Try to do this all in real time. I'm going to grab the hot air blower, and so we can see it's at 3 volts. And I'm just going to start heating up a couple of these little capacitors down here and see if we get a drastic change. Because that should go up to 6 volts. So 3.3, 3.4 is about all I'm seeing right now. I'll heat up some of the output filter caps here. I may have to find a schematic on this unit. I swear it worked like 3 weeks ago when I took a look at this thing. Huh. Well, I may just have to test the ESR of all these capacitors and see what they may have to say. Because typically, if you've got a bad capacitor and you heat it up, it actually turns it into a good capacitor. Maybe the main filter. There's a couple little regulators down here, although I don't think it's going to be those guys. Oh, there, it just powered on. 6 volts. All right, well, definitely got some caps to check. One moment. All right, let me go ahead and mark all of these capacitors, and we'll go ahead and grab the ESR meter and we'll check them out. One moment. Okay, well, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but I did highlight a bunch of the capacitors in red on the bottom of the board, the ones that I want to check. And I did go ahead and draw up a road map on both sides, basically, so that I know what the values are when I test them and what their orientation is. So I'm going to power on the cap checker, and I'm going to zero out the leads. Sometimes you have to spin these around to make sure they make good contact if they've been sitting for a couple of days, because I do have banana plug binding posts. Well, not really, but zero it out once again. So let's go ahead and start with the output filters. So this one should be a 100 at 25 volts. It's just a little tiny bit high for my liking. I like to see about 1 ohm on that one. I'm going to put a mark on my page. And then just to the right of that should be a 470 at 16. And I'm okay with 0.5 ohms on a 470 at 16. And another 470 at 16. 0.3 ohms, that's okay. Down straight below that is a 10 at 50. 97 ohms. Nope, that one is not going to fly. Another mark on the page. 2200 at 25 volts. Perfectly fine. And then this is the main AC input filter cap. It's a 220, I'm sorry, at 200 volts. I'm perfectly fine with that. So here's a couple of 10s at 50. I'm okay with half an ohm or 5 ohms on a 10. And another 10. It's on the high side, unfortunately. So I'll mark that one. And let's see, where were we? So I should have a 100 at 160. 0.4 ohms, I'm okay with that. This is going to be a 47 at 160. And I've got 1.4 ohms, I'm fine with that. This is a 4.7 at 250 ohms, and I've got 42 ohms. And I am not okay with that. So red mark on the sheet. And over here we've got, I think this is a 220 at 35 volts. 17 ohms, I am not okay with that. And now this one should be a 470 at 35.3, that's okay. This one is a 1000 at 35 and 0.07, that's perfectly fine. This is a 10 at 50, 1.6, I'm good with that. This one's going to be a 1 at 160, and it is totally open. Now, somebody mentioned on the previous video that it could be a AKB, automatic Kinney bias issue in this set that made the picture tube look just a little tiny bit soft. I think I checked that one at 10, at 50. This one's a very critical cap right here, the vertical pump-up capacitor, a 100 at 50, and I see 2.6 ohms. I would like to replace that, just because when these, the pump-up capacitor or the boost capacitor on a vertical output IC, which lives right here, when they fail, it will cause the vertical output IC to overheat and cause issues down the line. Now this should be a 1 and 8 ohms on a 1 microfarad. That's fine. Another one. These are both at 50s, by the way. And this is a 4.7, which is 14, or sorry, a 0.47, which is 14 ohms. On a 0.47 at 14 ohms, that would be okay. So basically, if it was a 4.7, I would take that 14 ohms and divide it by 10, so 1.4 ohms, so that is perfectly fine. And then last, the one that I think is causing the problem. This guy right here, a 47 at 50 volts. And it's 97 ohms. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. That's the problem right there. If you just change this one capacitor, the set would work. For how much longer? I don't know. But look at that, 97, 98 ohms on a 47 microfarad cap. So by comparison, let me grab a brand new 47 at 50 volts. If I can get to the bottom of my drawer here. Okay, so this is an IC branded capacitor, 47 at 50, 105 degrees Celsius. Date code on this is the 25th week of 2019. So they are getting up there already. But this is a good high quality cap, and I see 0.13 ohms, which is what I'd like to see instead of almost 100 ohms. Well, I'm going to get the solder sucker warmed up, change the ones that I have highlighted. Which are these, the 47, one of the 10s at 50, another 10 at 50, a 100 at 25, 4.7 at 250, 220 at 35, a 100 at 50, and a 1 at 160. That one might be unobtainium, unless I order parts. Let me do a little bit of research and dig through my parts stash and see what I might have. One moment. Okay, well, I did have every single capacitor in stock, with the exception of this 4.7 at 250. I'm going to replace that with a 10 at 250. So let's get the solder sucker warmed up and slap some caps into this thing. Well, I kind of messed up when I was ESRing these caps. I marked this 10 at 50 as defective, and I actually had checked that little disc capacitor right there, or Mylar, and I should have been checking that one. So this one and that one both check about 3.5 ohms. So yeah, my bad. Anyhow, got all the other caps changed. Just got to go ahead and verify their orientation is correct, that none of them are reversed. And we'll throw this thing back together and give it a try. All right, all the caps that I deemed to be defective have been replaced. In addition, I did go ahead and clean off the corrosion right down there. And I did go ahead and replace that 110 at 50. And then that 15K resistor was so corroded that as soon as I started to wire wheel it or wire toothbrush it, it just broke off. So I went ahead and replaced that as well. Okay, I think we're ready to throw this thing back together and give it a test. Okay, well, it's all back together. All the little capacitors that tested bad in my estimation have been replaced. Let's apply AC power to it. In 3, 2, 1, power on. And look at that, it did start. That is excellent. So let's see if we get a picture up on the screen here. And we do. Everything is good so far. Picture tube still is a little bit weak, even though I replaced the screen cap. Still just a tiny bit soft. Yeah, kind of hard to see with this phone with the rolling shutter, but there it is. It is playing. It's doing auto tracking at the moment. And let's try to get some volume when it finishes tracking. Okay, well there you can hear the wonderful sound coming out of the unit. So let's go ahead and pop a new speaker into this thing. And hopefully it sounds better after that. One moment. Okay, just going to unplug the existing speaker, and then I believe it just wiggles out quite nicely. And hopefully the replacement speaker that I did obtain is about the same size. It looks like it's going to be a different thickness. Let's go ahead and see if it even slides in. Oh yeah, fits pretty doggone good. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and attach some leads to it. As you can see right there, the old ones were clipped on, the new ones get to be soldered on. One moment, we'll slide this thing back in. Okay, new speaker is installed. Let's go ahead and flip this around. I'll get the cell phone running once again. We'll power this thing up and see what it has to say. One moment. All right, here we go. Power on. We'll see if it powers up on its own. The mechanism did something. There we go. Power has been applied. Well, that's quite a bit more audio than last time. Let's just go ahead and play the tape. And I'm going to say that's working excellent. Doing auto tracking right there. It is happy. Okay, well that certainly sounds much, much better than before. It's about as good as it's going to get for linear audio. This is not a hi-fi stereo unit, so that's why there's so much noise. But I'm going to wrap this thing up. It is repaired. Just got to throw the back on it and get it back to my customer. Everyone, thank you for making it part 2 of the Toshiba MV13J3. Who knew there was going to be so many more problems with this unit, replacing capacitors and whatnot. So after I finish this, I think I'll do a little bonus material, and we'll just go ahead and test these capacitors out of circuit with the ESR meter and see what they test like. All right, stand by for bonus material and possible bloopers. Everyone, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Everyone, have a great day. Bye-bye. Okay, here is that bonus material that I promised you. So let's test these caps. This one is the 47 at 50 that I believe was causing the unit to shut completely down. There we go. Was not happy about that. Normally it should have come back with a result by now. 41 microfarad with an ESR of 83 ohms. That thing is terrible. V-loss 8.3%. So I think that was the capacitor that was causing the whole problem. This is a 100 at 50. I believe it's the vertical boost or vertical pump up capacitor. 79 microfarads, ESR 3.3 ohms. That's bad. V-loss of only 2.5%. That's not too terribly bad. This one may not fit. We have to, yeah, look at that. So this one is 4.7 at 450. I'm sorry, not 450, at 250. 4.7 at 250. And it does read 4.6, but ESR is 55 ohms. V-loss only 2.2%. Not too terribly bad, but that is toast. And let's see, this is a 100 at 25 volts. .66 microfarads, 6.5 ohms ESR, V-loss 4.3%. That's pretty bad. That is pretty bad. This is the one that had the corrosion on it that I just went ahead and replaced for the heck of it. And it is a 10 at 50, I do believe. Yes, 10 at 50. So hopefully the lead does not break off. It's probably going to test just fine, honestly. Well, only test 7.6 microfarads with an ESR of 100 ohms or 0.1 K. Nope, not good. That thing was bad. This is going to be a 220 at 25 volts. I'd like to see about a quarter to a half an ohm ESR maximum on this guy. 37 picofarads. Really? Let's try it again. Maybe we've got a bad connection to the socket. 37 picofarads. That is absolutely terrible. 220 at 25. Wow. Okay. I must have been reading some other components with it. So this is a 1 at 160. I believe this is the screen cap for the CRT driver transistors. No, I had to replace it. No, I did have a 1 at 250. I did have the exact 262 picofarads. That thing is toast. Baked, Shango would say. Baked. Yeah, 1 at 160. I did have the original. And this one is a 10 at 50. Where it reads 9.5 with an ESR of 110 ohms. V-loss of 6.0%. So yeah, that's where we are. Go ahead and leave me a question, a comment, a concern down below, good or bad. I try to respond to the comments when I have time. While you're down there, if you could, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. It really does help my channel grow. Remember, you can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X at NorCal715. You can email me, norcal715videos@gmail.com. Yeah, still trying to get caught up. I've only had a couple of minutes in the last, well, months, 6 months, to actually answer any emails. So leave me a comment. I'll try to acknowledge that and then get back to you as time allows. It might be weeks or even months before I get a chance to do it. Everyone, once again, thank you for making it to the end of this video. I really, really appreciate it. Everyone have a great day. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. All right, well, I did had every, let's try that again.